Welcome back, true believers, for another episode of Comic Watchers. Comic Watchers is brought to you by Comic Watch. Comic Watch is your source for all your comics and media news and reviews written by fans for fans. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Spread the word. We're coming for the clickbait sites. It's our time now. I'm your host, Cody, coming to you from Oahu once more. And here is the rest of our Foultastic Four.
Hello, Brian from Margaritaville.
Hey, I'm Derbs from Salt Lake City.
And it's me, John Jack, coming to you live from Whiskey River. Don't forget, we have a Patreon account, and don't forget to subscribe if you like what you see, and click the bell for notifications. We love you. Thank you for watching.
We do love you, Anthony, and maybe one or two other people that are actually watching this. We do love you guys, and we appreciate you guys. So it's been a fairly busy week in the comics world in terms of issues being released and in terms of news. So this week we're going to try to do 4 spotlights, 4 roundtables on 4 different issues, covering Uncanny X-Men #4, Doomsday Clock #8, Winter Soldier #1, and Shazam #1. But before we get to those, Brian, man with the news.
All right, so TK Presents is a new comic book production company or publisher that's just hitting the streets. Has some big names attached to it. It has Garth Ennis, Steve Epting, and Jeff Lemire on books. It's kind of like a Netflix type of format.
TKO Presents.
Huh? What?
TKO Presents.
What did I say?
TK.
TKO Presents. Netflix type of releasing. What it does is it'll release a whole mini series at once. You can get it in digital, singles, or what is it? What I meant, a graphic novel. So Doctor Strange director Scott Derrickson inked a deal for Doctor Strange #2. It's set to be released May 7th, 2021. Comic book sales for November are up. The top 5 are Uncanny X-Men #1, Green Lantern #1, Web of Venom Carnage Born #1, Amazing Spider-Man #10, which really kind of surprises me, but all right, and Batman 58. So Marvel is ruining the Marvel Universe, and that will be coming in March. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will be out this week, starting December 13th. Aquaman and Prime members will get a special viewing this Saturday, December 13th or 15th.
Apparently, I'm the only one who covers sword and sorcery news, but there has been the first issue in the Age of Conan miniseries announced, which is going to be the origin story of Bellet, the Black Queen of the pirates, or the Pirate Queen of the Black Coast. Originally made popular in Conan, I think it was number 50, with a cover by recently belated Marie Severin. Kind of cool. I have said, and I will extend this to anyone who listens to this show, all 5 of you. I will bet any amount of money that Marvel will make this 5 unrelated one-shots. You watch.
And yes, I can confirm you are the only person that follows that.
Ouch. In other news, the Avengers 4 trailer arrived this week after many delays and many fans clamoring for their, final title of what the Avengers film will be. It'll be Avengers Endgame. And that's essentially all that we really learned from the new trailer. It was very pretty. It was very well done. The production value was fantastic. We're not anywhere closer to understanding what this film will actually be about. Something about Thanos. Ronan is there. Scott Lang saves the universe. That's pretty much what we already knew, and now we know it just a little bit harder. And if that is it for news, Derbs, did you have anything to add for news?
No, just wanted to say that TKO Comics, their branding and web design and their graphic design is incredible. It's looking like I mean, that's going to be a really interesting thing to follow. Plus, I'd like to do Sword and Sorcery too, John. I just need to get into it. I mean,
I'll give you a list. I'll give you a list anytime.
I've played D&D since like I don't know 1989, so
I've
that's
never
probably
had any
why I
friends
don't
to play
read.
D&D with. I was
Probably
busy
why I
reading
don't
comic
read
books.
Sword and Sorcery comics, because I play freaking D&D.
That's cool. No, that's all good, bud. No, that TKO presents, they have all kinds of stuff. I'm so very excited about that, actually. I'm probably going to order my first 2 minis from them this weekend. I'm probably going to get the Fearsome Dr. Fang and Sarah are my first 2 choices. If I like those, I might get the other 2. They have 4 series available right now. Interestingly, they release everything in binge format, as Brian was saying, as either a 6-issue miniseries in a slipcase, a trade paperback, or digital. And the price for those was $25 for the 6 issues in a slipcase, which is actually pretty competitive, or $18 for a trade, which is about right, or
Yeah.
$15 for digital. Which, thank you that at least one publisher understands that it is less work and money to print digital. Don't charge cover price for digital. It's ridiculous. I don't need to pay $4 for the license to a graphic file. Like, I understand no less work from the creators went into it, but it's a little bit ridiculous paying, full cover price for an issue that you didn't have to distribute or print.
Well, even at that reduced price, it's still more profitable for them.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
I'm really
Yeah, no,
excited about it. I really, because I actually will get more graphic novels than I will singles. Like usually I'll get, especially with a new series and indies, like I'll get the first maybe 1 or 2 issues to see if I like it, and then I'll hold off until the graphic novel or the trade paperback comes out. So I actually prefer their method of it, because especially in today's society where everything is completely binge, everything's a binge. Like nobody watches week to week to week unless we have to. So I'm really excited about the format. I think it'll be good. So yeah, and sorry if I did mispronounce TK or TKO instead of TKO.
it's forgivable. It's brand new. I mean, this is bleeding edge stuff. I'll just echo what everybody else has said. Like, I'm really excited about this idea. This feels to me like we're standing on the precipice of something really big.
Yeah.
There's some image explosion stuff here, is what it feels like to me.
It feels to me better, bigger, stronger than the image explosion. Like it feels like there was a lot more care put into it. Not to say that, there's anything wrong with Image. Like I was there on the ground floor with Image back in the day. But there was like a sense of, they didn't really think ahead. They didn't really say, like, okay, well, we're going to put out our books our way. And then what? Right. So here, there's like this definite feeling, like this kind of buzz in the air that these guys know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly who they're marketing to, and they know exactly where they want to go with it. And that's
And
just,
some of the people attached to projects is insane. They have some insane talent lined up from just out of the gate. They have 4 minis ready to go.
Yeah,
and that's what
I mean,
that's what I was referring to about their marketing. They're coming out of the gate like they've been around for a decade already. Like they have extreme confidence in their brand, and I think that's just really appealing. I'm looking forward to seeing what they put out.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, go ahead, B.
Yeah, you can actually check out their first 4 copy or their first 4 issues or all the first issues on their website, which I think you need a password for, right, JJ?
Yeah, it was. I don't know if this is a permanent thing, but as of now, it appears you need a password to get into their site, which is tkopresents.com, and the password is VIP access, all one word. They shared it on their Twitter, so I'm sure they're fine with us sharing it here.
Right. There's no secrecy surrounding it. Like they broadcasted out to everybody and their mother on their like coming out post, which I thought was really bold too. Like, hey,
genius.
This is who we are. We're tagging everybody involved in every single book, everybody that you might want to be checking out. and just broadcasting to the world. You want to read our stuff, read it here, read it now. We're here. Like it really, like Derp said, the confidence, the confidence of a 10, 15, 20-year-old publisher
The audacity.
on day one. On day one. Like it's impressive. I'm excited. Can't wait. Can't wait. So now, if we're all TKO'd out, we got the technical knockout here. All right. As a new featured segment, Brian has found 100 trivia questions, and we're going to ask 5 per episode and see who gets them right. And we will be keeping track. And at the end of 20 episodes from now, God willing, we last 20 more episodes. We will total up and see who the winner is, and maybe there will be a trophy by the time we get 20 weeks from now. I don't know. Let's find out. So Brian, hit us with your trivia questions.
All right. So how I'm going to do it is I'm going to ask the full question, and then whoever knows it first will answer or will raise their hand first, and then I'll call on them. You got it? Huh?
I'm turning the mute off. You'll see.
Yeah. So, or at least make a noise or something. But you got to wait for the full question, because some of these aren't, yeah. Okay, so the first question is, Clark Kent would have much tougher time at the Daily Planet without whom to support. Now, granted, that is, okay, go ahead, JJ.
Perry White.
Eh.
Lois Lane.
Oh, go ahead, Cody.
I'm going to say Jimmy Olsen.
Bingo. 1 for Cody. All right.
Oh, bullshit.
Okay, so the Green Lantern hasn't really had any true sidekicks, but he did have one, Charles Dolby Dickles. What Green Lantern is it?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So the Green Lantern hasn't really had a true sidekick over the years, but in his early days, he did elicit the help of Charles Dolby Dickles. More as comedy relief than the others, he first made his appearance in All American Comics 27, June 1941. Which Green Lantern is this? Go ahead, Cody.
Alan Scott.
You're talking Golden Age Green Lantern. You're trying to kill me.
Really? Okay. The superhero Batman uses many technological gadgets to fight. Okay. The superhero Batman. The superhero Batman uses many technology.
Which superhero was that again, Brian?
Batman.
Which man? What man? What kind of bat was that? What kind of bat were you talking about?
I'm trying.
The answer is clearly the Batawang, aka Little Wayne.
Okay, so the superhero Batman uses many technological gadgets to fight crime. Which of the following gadgets does Batman not use? The Batplane, the Batmobile, a utility belt, and the Power Ring.
The Power Ring.
Bro, you got it, but you gotta raise your hand.
I was right because it was the Batawang.
Well, that's a trick question because I thought it was the bat wing, not the bat plane.
It was the bat plane in the 1960s, though.
Oh, you and your...
It's been the bat plane.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, JJ can have it. He didn't raise his hand or anything because he's a freaking caveman.
I turned mute off for a reason.
2 for Cody, 1 for JJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why does Cody get 2? We've only asked 2 questions.
I would like to argue that Batman did have a power ring during Blackest Night. He got a yellow lantern ring. And
also during Forever Evil.
Also during Forever Evil.
And Injustice.
Injustice doesn't count. That's not normal
Yeah,
continuity.
it does. It does too. For this.
No, fuck off, Tom Taylor.
So moving on.
Tom Taylor is a saint.
A spider changed this New York high school student's life. Where in New York City did Peter Parker get the spider bite that changed him forever? Oh, go ahead. JJ?
That was at university. What's the college in New York?
You're wrong.
Columbia, but
No.
but that's not right. It was a museum. It was
New York Metropolitan Museum.
No, I think it's asking, in New York City, did the spider bite change him forever? They're looking for what type of event it happened in.
Was
Oh,
in a
go
museum.
ahead. Oh, are you not? Okay. I saw your hand going really fast, and I thought you're...
Brian knows it.
No, I think I should probably just abstain from trivia. Those two guys, this is not fair.
I'm just gonna keep saying things till I'm right.
Can you repeat the question, Brian? I'm sorry.
Yeah. A spider changed this New York high school student's life. Where in New York City? And they're looking for an event. What type of event did Peter Parker get his spider bite at?
A field trip.
Huh?
A field trip.
Maybe. I actually question this one because it doesn't, in anything that I know, it doesn't seem right. So we're gonna have this question be a throwaway, but it's actually looking for a science fair.
Well, that doesn't seem right.
JJ, you are the Spider-Man fan. You read the first 500 or whatever. Is that how he got it? He got a spider.
I've read literally hundreds of issues of Spider-Man. Yeah, it was a science fair. It was a science fair, but it wasn't a specific type of science fair because it was 1962.
Yeah, it literally just says that it changed as it's a science fair. So
I mean, I guess if you want to go that big.
Yeah. So this one is easy. You all should know this one. If not, you're me. Hey, look, it's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's the Man of Steel. Who is this one?
Kal-El. That's Superman. It's Clark Kent.
Burbs, you got this one.
It's
Burbs,
the
who is
Eradicator.
It's
I was trying to give one to Derbs. Come on.
I don't need your charity.
I was trying to give one to Derbs. Keep it even.
That's such a terrible question. That shouldn't count either.
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's probably Freakazoid. Whatever.
This superhero wears a blue suit and a red S.
Yeah, well, it's hey, look, it's a bird. It's more like a plane. No, it's the Man of Steel. You are able to leap over tall buildings faster than a speeding locomotive, and all of that. Go ahead, Rams.
It's the Tick.
Yeah. Back in the day on USA.
You're damn right it was the Tick.
Spoon!
You can't destroy the Earth. That's where I keep all my stuff.
All right, so we're leaving the show this week to Mr. Cody White and one for JJ. And
you better keep tabs because I'm coming from behind the next show.
That's what she said.
Ah,
wait, what?
Really, I get
no, that's not
media talk, and then says, "Oh, that's what you said."
And on to reviews, folks.
Why don't we start with a book that I know that we all really enjoyed, and that is Uncanny X-Men #4. And I know that we covered Uncanny X-Men #1 and had a bit of a tangent last week about it, Uncanny #3, while we were talking about Ed Brisson and his comprehension of characters in reference to Dead Man Logan #1. But the series warrants the attention right now. Like, this is the best X-Men books I've read since I was in puberty. They've come out of the gates incredibly strong. You got the trio of Matt Rosenberg, Ed Brisson, and Kelly Thompson handling the load on writing, and they're seamless. Like, I don't know how they're dividing up the writing duties exactly.
Feels like 52. It's clean.
It's
I don't know
clean.
who wrote
Yeah.
52. Yeah, it's perfect.
Right. Yeah, that was just so well executed. Was it? Oh no, Pere Perez, right? Pere Perez on the pencils, on the art on this one. Not to badmouth anybody, but leaps and bounds above some of the previous art on the series. This was a gorgeous issue. Did anybody have a particular burning desire to do a recap of this one? This was an issue. I know, Derbs, you just read it, right?
I did just read it, but I also read like 4 more things after it, so
Okay.
I might not be the best for a recap.
JJ, you want to field a recap?
I read it a week ago. I could probably be on my way through a quickie.
All right, I can do it. I can. Brian, do you want to do it?
I can try. Like with the rest of these guys, it was one of the first books that I read because I was so excited about it. If I remember at the end of it, I'm sorry.
I didn't think about that until just now. Like, all of us read it day of release.
Right, because
Except
it's exciting.
It
was like second book down on my pile. It was really high, which is a pretty high compliment for an X-Men book. I'm not an X-Men fan at all, and it was near the top. It wasn't quite the top, but it was good.
All right, so Uncanny X-Men number 4, where we last left off, we see what are they calling themselves? The 4 Horsemen of the Sacrament, or 4 Horsemen of
Peace, or something like that. Seriously, it's like,
God damn it! What was it? It was like Salvation. 4 Horsemen of Salvation.
That's four Horsemen of Salvation. Right. So like the anti-apocalypse, right? So you've already got this vibe of, you've got Magneto, Blob, Omega Red, and of course Warren has to be there. Like, you can't have a set of horsemen without the angel of, in this case, peace. So, switching over from Michael to Gabriel, for those of you that follow Christian mythology or what have you. So they approach the X-Men and basically are saying, like, we're here on orders from a higher power, and we're here to fix everything that you guys have screwed up. So you open number 4 with the X-Men laying, dead. And of course, it's a mental projection. Jean has faked them all out. They've used armor to kind of protect everybody. And the Horsemen go flying off home to Master. And who's Master? I mean, we all know that the Age of X-Man event is coming. So naturally, Nate Gray is this mutant messiah, complete with, open robe, bare chest, long hair and beard. I
looked like he should be fixing a Buick in the backyard.
or just up on the cross. I mean, it was absolutely. I mean, they're going really overboard with the Christian. I like it. Not overboard. I mean, overboard in a good way. It feels very biblical and appropriate. So.
Also, I do want to mention that it wasn't just Jean. She had a little help from Psylocke.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about the other white chick.
Again, white chick again.
Anyway, though, but yeah, I mean, it was a really, so they go back to him. You start to kind of get a glimpse into his plans. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, the young X-Men, or the new X-Men, or Academy X, or whatever we're calling the kids these days,
little bitches is what we're calling them.
Are one. I'm on the kids' side.
Actually, so am I, but I still think Armor was a little bit.
They're not wrong. They're not wrong at all.
They're not right either. They are not right either.
But they're calling bull. The thing, since and me being a less seasoned X-Men reader than some of you guys, the thing about the X-Men is, since the start, they've been all about rebelling from Xavier, and not rebelling from Xavier, but Xavier making the wrong call, and then them going a different direction, and that being the right call. And this felt like that to me.
They've done a great job injecting the millennial spirit into this new, revitalizing of the X-Men, and just kind of like Yeah, these new kids, they don't give a fuck, man.
Okay,
They're ready to
first
rumble,
off,
and I enjoy it.
okay, first off, they're not millennials because I'm a millennial. So is Cody. So they are actually the generation after
Cody's
millennials.
borderline, and
Well,
Derbs, you might be able. I'm definitely in the demographic, which is
no,
unfortunate because I'm a
no,
fucking I'm a
I'm Gen
29 year
X.
I'm a 30-year-old carpenter.
right, but
Yeah,
that's a
brother.
millennial. Like the people who are snorting condoms are the generation before that. And the millennials are the ones that are getting the bad rap. I can go on and on about this, but don't
Yeah,
confuse
man, you
us.
guys were like eating batteries and crap. Whatever, you're dumb.
Millennials are
You
those
are a
who are
millennial. You are the
millennials are
same
those
thing.
who like reached adulthood and maturity around the 2000s. You know, I'm borderline. I'm like Gen X, millennial, borderline.
Also, a
Everybody
great
wants to
series
be
thanks
Gen
to Age of
X.
Apocalypse.
Everybody wants to say they're Gen X, but they're all millennials. I'm on to you.
I have many theories on this, but we could talk about those later. I think we've actually talked about it, the Zennial thing a little bit, but anyway, so the kids are pissed, right? They're tired of being stuck in the corner. Nobody puts Glob in the corner. Uh, they're pissed, and they have every right to be pissed. They're being treated like children by people who, as children, were out there on the front lines fighting Magneto. Like, this is absurd. This is absurd. I would much rather have Glob have my back than Kitty Pryde right now. Absolutely. No question. You know, one of these people has the fire and the other person is chained up in a friggin' basement right now.
You know,
Speaking
people
of,
always forget also that soldiers are kids. Like generally, like most
right.
soldiers are kids. You know, they've watched too many movies where the soldiers that are starring in the movie are like in their 30s, 40s. You know, when in reality, talking about a bunch of teenagers, early 20-year-old kids doing that stuff. And
Right.
these guys, X-Men are soldiers, man. Let them go.
So in their fit of rebellion, not only do they refuse to listen to Jean's orders, which was awesome, but they also decide they are going to interrogate Legion. Legion, who came to the mansion the issue before, saying, "I know everything that's going on. I tried to tell you. You guys screwed up." So naturally, Jean knocks him out. The kids are like, "Hey, he knows what's happening. Let's hear him out." And Legion being Legion, like a lot of it was really hard to follow, and not all of it was coherent. But essentially, it boils down to he feels responsible for creating the Age of Apocalypse timeline, which he did. And as such, if X-Man is going to come and wreck this timeline, Brian is struggling with his drink. He has a drinking problem, everybody. So he feels responsible for the creation of Nate Gray, who is destroying or rebuilding or completely upending the entire world right now.
Can I
So you've got
interject
this
really
Yeah,
quick?
no, please. Yeah,
Oh,
go for it.
just one of my favorite little lettering tricks that I just really loved was Legion's kind of talking about the Age of Apocalypse and that he's the father of the father of the father, but he's not, and he's going nuts. Well, you could see that the letters started to go off the border, so you couldn't read some of the ends of the sentences. I thought it was just a great little, this great little trick. Just, he's nuts. And the way he's talking is manic enough that you can't even read some of the words on the panel. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. And, and they didn't lose any of the content in service to it either. So, like, you could still completely understand and completely read it.
Yeah.
I did want to, since you mentioned the panel layout, I don't know why I geek out on panel layouts in terms of perspective sometimes. And I really liked the idea that some of the stuff he was saying was incomprehensible, like as it was, like not even necessarily like they made it incomprehensible. Like they made it so you couldn't even understand what he was saying. It was genius. It was brilliant. I love the way that's written. I love it when they do things like that. Take risks with panels to make them more dynamic or to feel like part of the narrative rather than just another way to convey a message. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You were talking about how the way he bled out of the panel, and I thought that was brilliant.
Also, I never thought this would happen, but I laughed at something Apocalypse said.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like I was like, that is
absolutely.
great writing.
No,
Yeah,
it's been
such a
great
great-
writing throughout. But you're
Yeah,
right.
it
That
really-
was a highlight, Brian. Totally.
Right?
Yeah,
I think as soon as I saw it, because we're all in the group chat, and I was like, oh my god, this is fucking hilarious. And then I sent it to him, and I was going somewhere else with this, but never mind. Go on.
No, yeah, I mean, it was a great moment. Apocalypse is chained up in the basement. Kitty is like interrogating, like knife hand interrogating Nate, and she's like, "You're not this powerful." And Apocalypse is just like, "Well, he turned your powers off with a word. He's got Apocalypse chained up in his basement. I don't know. Looks pretty freaking powerful to me." The delivery was much more apocalypsy, but I mean, the spirit of it was just like, shut up. What are you talking about? Look around. Is there anything major plot-wise that I'm missing in this one? Like, I don't want to totally like spoil the whole damn thing, but wow, just wow. Every page is just better than the last one. Everything builds to this crescendo. And I have a feeling that by the time we're done with these 10 issues, a lot of people aren't going to look at X-Men the same way that they have in the last 10 years or so.
I did absolutely love X-23 trying to talk Jean Grey into letting her kill a Megalodon.
Yeah,
Oh.
she just said she wants to stab it.
And also,
Didn't even
I
wanna
will
kill
say, in the panel before that, or maybe a couple before that, we saw scientists getting eaten by the Megalodon, and then like a page later, they're getting rescued by Iceman, and that seemed a little bit phony to me. Like, if you're in a Megalodon's mouth, that Megalodon's eating you. Like, so that seemed a little bit weak to me. I did think the Apocalypse statement was funny, where what you guys were saying. I agree that him saying like, this guy's tough enough to chain me up. What do you think you're gonna do? Like, that's funny. Like, you know, he's got the Hulk tied down. What do you think you're gonna do, Iron Man?
So can we talk about the ending real quick? Glob
Yeah, sure.
Glob, who actually is turning into one of my favorites.
Is the ending when Glob was found with pornography?
No, that was
that
in
the,
Old
that the
Man
finish?
Logan.
Or is it...
Which also,
that's right.
yeah. No, this is where he goes to the bar to find Jamie. And he's all, well, you're the only one. And he's all something along the lines of, Glob basically, Jamie's saying no. And Glob's like, but you're the one and only one that could help. And then Jamie's response is, but you're the only person that can, or something like that. And he was like, fine, but if I die, it's on you. It was just great dialogue. I laughed.
That's the team book equivalent of until she says no until she says yes, and that's okay.
I have no idea what you're saying, but I feel like this is going to be turned into a Me Too movement.
that's a little far afield. But yeah, I love that moment. I mean, I wasn't expecting the end of that book to end up in a bar. You know, it was great.
Yeah, you know, like there's something just so unexpected and fresh, but at the same time familiar and comforting about this series so far, that it's just far and away, in my opinion, it's the best thing Marvel's putting out at the moment. And I mean, I'm a pretty big fan of Coates' Cap right now, but I think this is the best Marvel book right now.
Yeah, until Marvel fucks it up in March.
Right. We'll see where that
Actually,
that
I'm
goes.
just being negative because it's, well, tequila. But it may actually be really good. They possibly rewriting the history. Who knows where it's going to go?
So any final thoughts on Uncanny before we move on to the next of our 4 books?
It's great. Read it.
Agreed. 100% agreed. All right. So why don't we move on to what do we want to do next? Let's do Winter Soldier next. Let's stay with Marvel for a minute.
That's such a good book.
So Brian, you did the review on this one, so why don't you give us the recap and kind of the skinny on this new, fresh, innovative take on Winter Soldier?
Yeah, no, okay. So so it starts off with Winter Soldier coming doing stuff, saving a cop. So basically what he's doing is having like a little program like the witness protection type thing. He's taking people who have done bad stuff and kind of giving them new lives, able to start over. So it was cool to see Sharon Carter kind of visiting him in his home. We saw Tony Stark. I actually really want to give kudos to the writer. He did his research about this small town in Indiana, Shelbyville, because Tony Stark mentions that it is uh, that it's really humid. So I always, whenever there's a new city or anything in a comic book, I actually research it to see one, if it's real and what it's really like, just to kind of do that. And one of the first things that I said, or Wikipedia said, is that it's really humid all the time. And it was really smart for the writer to go ahead and Kyle to go ahead and mention that, like that he did his research. So mad respect for that. So then he's missing one of the people that he saved. So it ends up in a bar, and the villain of the story ends up coming in and shooting and killing the person that he saved. I forgot his name, Thomas or something like that. Whatever, he didn't matter. He's dead. He's not going to be an issue too. So it's this new kid that looked exactly like young Bucky, who's the new assassination. I want to give mad kudos to the artist. He did amazing. I can't remember his name. It's
Rob
Rias.
Rice.
Yes, there we go. He did amazing. He took major risks on the book. It's a beautiful book. Like it's borderline. No, I don't want to say it's inconsistent, but he changes his style throughout the book, and it's just completely done beautifully. Like he wanted something. He's like, it'd look good in this, but it doesn't match the rest of the book. It's okay. Let's do it. Let's just do black and white, and have just the blood color. Like it's an amazing art book, and it's a good book.
But all the great artists know how to convey emotion by changing their art style as they do this. So I mean, and I'm sure they give notes to the colorists. I mean, colorists always have notes. And yeah, Brian, absolutely. Like I was really happy with it. I was surprised. That was a knockout book for me. Like probably one of my new favorites. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was lucky enough to pick it. Like I think our boss Ross was hinting that he wanted it. He's all, so has anybody picked this book up? And I was like, I did. And I was really, really, because I've read a couple of Winter Soldier's minis in the past, and they've been good. And they've also had that type of art where it's risk taking. And this one's different. Like it was a home run. And I talk a lot about art just because that's my favorite thing in a book. But the story is also really, really well done. I mean, it's just for me, this book hit it out of the park, and it's almost probably my favorite book of the week. Anybody?
I feel like the Winter Soldier series, as the first issue went, was somewhere along the lines of it felt really in line with Bucky's with Bucky's tone in the Brubaker series of second chances. It plays really heavily. His whole job, as he's made it in this as of the start of the series, is giving people second chances. People who are too deeply entrenched into a life of crime to get out, he's trying to give them an out. Like that's it's a really organic feeling avenue of work for Bucky to take, especially following him stepping down as Captain America in order to give Steve the mantle back. Like it feels pretty pitch perfect for what Bucky should be doing at this stage, especially and it ties directly into like there was an arc during Bucky Captain America where he was taking down a town that was occupied by Hydra, but it was like a small, wholesome town that was occupied by Hydra. But it feels like he's doing that again with this it feels along those lines, and it feels exactly like what Bucky should be doing, and I feel like I like Higgins a lot, Kyle Higgins a lot as a writer, and I've kind of felt a bit of a void on him since he was on Nightwing. The tail end of I think he was on the Judge arc, which I didn't love the tail end of, but I feel like this is a bit more. He's good at strong starts. We'll see where this arc goes. But for a 5-issue miniseries, that might be just about perfect for him to write Bucky into a spot where we want him to be in.
So this is a miniseries, 5-issue.
Well, of course, I don't ever sign on to anything that's not a mini.
Oh, well, that's kind of sad.
It is.
Yeah,
well, I don't know. There's talk about
Marvel does 5-issue minis. If you weren't, I'm pretty sure they figured out they could charge the same for 6 issue or for 5 issues as they did for 6.
Yeah.
Also, the art by Rod Reese, who's the younger brother to Ivan, I believe. Ivan Reese, who.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I think he's he's a sibling to Ivan, who's currently drawing Superman, I want to say.
Yeah.
He does next week's Superman for sure, which the art is pretty much the only thing going for next week's Superman. So Rod Reese, it almost feels painted, but it's not.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say, like, there's something about his flashback sequences that reminds me a bit of. Did everybody here read other than Brian? Did you guys read the Hush story in Batman?
Oh yeah,
that was a really good book.
When they were doing Hush, Jim Lee would do these random flashbacks in watercolor.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a feel like that to me. And I mean, if I'm going to compare an artist to Jim Lee on what I think is Jim Lee's greatest work, like it's a hell of a compliment coming from me. And I would say the same to Kyle Higgins in relation to Ed Brubaker's Captain America run. Like, that feels like very similar as well. And I mean, that's a huge compliment for me too. I think Ed Brubaker is one of, if not the best, superhero writer in comics right now. So this book was a runaway smash surprise hit for me.
I'd put the art somewhere around another Brubaker contributor or collaborator, which would be Sean Phillips, of course, who is notorious for doing painted art. And it definitely felt somewhere along the lines of like a Sean Phillips or something, like even maybe like a Glenn Orbick or something from the Tales of the Dark Knight covers.
Yeah,
I
can see that.
Yeah, something like it wasn't like a watercolor necessarily so much as it felt like an oil painting kind of thing.
Right.
Art watercolor is a little bit more ethereal, whereas oil painting's a little bit more based in like the real and the solid. And I thought the coloring, I don't know who the colorist was on that, but the coloring and the art in general lended itself to. I'm sure Arby couldn't look it up while he's hanging out there on mute, but
what book are you talking about?
Winter Soldier. Who is the colorist? Thank you.
Oh, no. I know this answer. I think it's actually. I don't think it's different than the artist.
Oh, really? Was it Ivan Reese who did colors as well?
No,
Rod.
it's not Ivan who did it. It's
Rod did it.
Rod.
Rod Reese.
Hold on. Let me look it up real quick on comic or on my review because I always make sure that I put the colorist in it.
Plus, you guys know my taste levels. Like, this book hit me right in the taste buds. It comes across as this very, micro perspective, almost a vigilante type situation. I thought it was really cool when they had the the metahuman cop, ambush Bucky. I thought that was pretty slick. That was totally unexpected. A lot of moments like that in this book.
Yeah, I mean, they're building something here that it feels redemptive for Bucky, like a chance, almost a pay it forward situation, but also a chance for him to kind of undo some of the horrible things he did as Winter Soldier. And I mean, we talk about those things all the time, and Bucky talks about those things all the time, but you rarely actually see anybody do anything about it. Like, you rarely see anybody really give Buck redemption. So I really feel like that's
which was definitely a reoccurring theme in Bucky's run as Captain America and Brubaker's run as well, though. The redemptive angle to Bucky being Captain America in the first place, let alone trying to make right with, say, a Japanese prisoner of war that he had wronged in World War, in the Korean War, Vietnam, whatever war that he wronged that Japanese prisoner of war. I believe it was the Korean War. But, Bucky seemed like his entire run as Captain America was him trying to redeem himself for the horrible things he did as a Winter Soldier.
And I kind of read that run a little bit different. Like, I kind of read that run as it was Bucky trying to live up to Steve's legacy, rather than try to create his own legacy. I mean, there were moments for sure, like you said, like with the Japanese prisoner of war and such. But
he was trying to live up to the idol that he had placed Steve upon.
Right. So it always felt like it was more about Steve than it was about Buck.
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely agree with that. But it was Bucky trying to prove that it was the same thing that I felt like Dick was trying to prove during his run as Batman during Morrison's run on Batman and Robin. He wasn't trying to prove that he was worthy to be Batman. He was trying to show that he was worthy of holding the same helm that Bruce had once held. And likewise, Bucky was trying to show that not only was he trying to redeem himself, but he was trying to show that he was even cut from the same cloth. He was even trying to say that he was worthy to hold the same title as Steve Rogers, who,
right.
It was Rod.
What's that?
It was Rod. Or if there's a different color, so they didn't mention it, but it was Rod who did all the art.
Okay, that's really cool. Like, I like to see when they take ownership of the whole process. I know it's definitely really hard on them.
Which is totally Sean. Sean Phillips does a lot of his own coloring, and he does a lot of his own painted coloring. And again, that's a huge Brubaker collaborist. He does a lot of Criminal and Kill or Be Killed, which wasn't colored by him, which isn't pertinent to the.
So other than, hey, everybody,
I guess I draw the line at colorists.
Right. Other than, hey, everybody, surprised, go buy this book. Do we have any final thoughts on Winter Soldier before we move on? I wanted to real quick, I know that it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I wanted to real quick cover Shazam #1, coming to us from Jeff Johns and Dale Eaglesham on art. I thought this was a knockout first issue. I know that at least half of our people right here in the booth right now aren't big fans of titles that center on kind of kids and children. I didn't really kind of get that vibe from this book. This book is the first time we've seen Captain Marvel, Shazam in the spotlight since I really want to say, I know he made an appearance for a little bit in Jeff Johns' New 52 Justice League run, illustrated by Gary Frank, but I think before that
he popped up in Future's End also.
Right, he popped up, but I mean, like, as far as like really being featured, like being the central guy, like I think it's been like 10 years since Trials of Shazam from Judd Winnick. So it's nice for me. Like, I'm a longtime fan of the character. I've read a lot of the Golden Age books with the Marvel family, the Fawcett era stuff. It's really nice for me to see him not only front and center in the spotlight, but the whole family. And I think that was what really gave this book a really good feel-good vibe. As far as, the plot, like whatever, read the review, read the issue. It's pretty straightforward. We get a little bit of a recap of, who are the Marvel family, who are these kids. We meet the wizard briefly. You kind of get a little bit of that kind of slightly tweaked origin story. Backup story with Mary Marvel kind of explains to us, how she came to the foster home and how she's adjusting to having the powers. Features a cameo from one of my all-time favorite Marvel family members, Hoppy. Hoppy the Marvel Bunny makes a brief appearance at the end of this issue.
God, I love the Marvel Bunny cameo. Oh my god. I got so excited.
It was so fantastic.
I don't know why I love animals with superpowers, but the bunny, oh my god, I was so excited.
I love Hoppy. I love animals with superpowers too. I'm with you. Give me Captain Carrot. Give me Fastback. Let's do this. But it was a really good feel-good book. I really do want to hear, now that I've finally convinced the Bryans to read this issue, because both of them were pretty averse to it felt like even reading it. I would like to hear what you guys have to say. But I mean, I thought this was a fantastic start. Jeff Johns is just the best. I gave a lot of props to Brubaker earlier, but Jeff Johns is the best writer in superhero comics of the last 20
Brubaker
years.
is king.
Of the last 20 years, and it's not close. Guys. So yeah, you guys
closer than you think.
I wasn't averse to reading it. I just don't have any. This is my first exposure, other than like the movie trailers, to actually ingesting any Shazam anything. Other than like when I was a kid collecting cards and stuff, and I'd get a Shazam card and that kind of thing. Just not really in my taste spectrum. It's just not really in there. But that doesn't mean I can't like read it and appreciate it for what it is. But see, I'm actually pretty stoked for the movie. I think the idea is really interesting, and the book, the comic really does echo the way that the movie seems like it's going to come out, and that same vibe. Just that really manic teenage energy, like so much of it is just overloading me. But again, I thought it was, for what it is, I think it's actually really high quality. I just it's just not in my I guess it's just not my thing. But I don't know. I thought it was really interesting that they have this sanctuary essentially to there's a whole lot that they can do. There's so many directions they can go. There's so much they can figure out and find out and discover, and but man, like, it feels like it's its own thing. I think I'd probably like it better if it was on its own island and not really part of like some kind of continuity, like DC continuity. It's so strange. It's so weird. And I know that's why you guys like it. And I don't know. Again, I'm not going to yuck your yum. I think it's high quality for what it is. It's just not my thing, but that's all.
Yeah, but I mean, you mentioned the sanctuary, the tunnels, the subway tunnels underneath, and theoretically maybe they're linking to the Rock of Eternity. We'll see where they go with that. But they find this like subway station to magical realms. There's 9 magical realms, or however many there were on that map, and the idea behind that, and potentially expanding on an 80-year-old mythos and giving it even more depth than they've already developed for it. I'm really excited to see where they go with, what's in these magical realms. Like, I don't know, we haven't seen Amethyst in a while. Maybe we're gonna go there. Maybe, we'll do some of the DC sword and sorcery. Maybe we'll see Aquarion or
funny,
Arion.
As soon as they started to explore those tunnels, in my head I heard, Hedwig's theme. is starting in my head. That's so I said like DC Hogwarts. But I wasn't actually saying that to be a snarky asshole. I was actually saying like this is they're really keying into a vibe there that's very alive and very real and very I mean it's pretty slick.
What about you, Brian?
The
Are you still
artwork
with
was,
us?
yeah, no, I'm here. The art, I really enjoyed the artwork a lot more than I thought I was going to. Or actually, no. When I went in, one of the variant covers that I saw, I didn't like it because it had a lot of lines that I don't like in the art. So that's kind of what I was expecting when I went in. But I really, really, really liked the artwork. The story was good. There was nothing wrong with it. And I kind of want to go along with Derbs. Like, it's a great book. And I think that if I was maybe his age or something, I would be able to identify with it more and enjoy it 100 times more. But it's like he said, it's just not my thing. Just like horror comics generally aren't my thing all the time. So I couldn't find anything wrong with the book other than it's just not my taste.
Yeah, I like horror, but magic generally, you start doing like Justice League Black and Doctor Strange, and I start to kind of get sleepy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I actually like some horror. Like, there's definitely horror that there's a horror genre that I like, but there's also a specific horror genre that I don't like, and it's kind of the same thing here. But it was fine to read. Like, there's nothing wrong with the book at all. Like, I couldn't find anything. Jeff Johns is an amazing writer. The artist did phenomenal work. Yeah.
I thought it was really interesting. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought it was really interesting the way they brought in Billy's potential father.
Yeah.
And Billy's whole thing has been that he's been an orphan. Aren't all superheroes? But I felt like it was interesting the way they brought in Billy's father, and he could potentially be a way to take Billy away from being Shazam or away from Shazam, which is really interesting. The integration of of the Marvel family is really, really cool. Not speaking well. But I like the integration of the Marvel family, especially the bunny. But I thought the story and the potential integration into the magical world, because one thing that's always struck me about Shazam is he's a magical creature thrust out of magical realms. He's a creature totally embedded in his whole thing. The whole Shazam family is they're creatures of gods. They're creatures made of god powers.
Right.
But,
Yeah,
they're physical creatures.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I totally agree with you. Like that's what Derbs doesn't like about it is partly what I do. I'm a big Harry Potter nerd too. And like one of the things Brian said, that he maybe if he was the same age as Billy, he would identify with Billy more. And maybe that's a part of it for me. Like I was probably about Billy's age when I first started coming to the Marvel family. So, I fell in love with the character and this whole world that they had created over at Fawcett, and then DC horrifically stole. I mean, they really did just steal this. This was a book that was outselling Superman at one point in the 40s, and DC was like, nah, it's too much like Superman.
Well,
I don't know about that, but yeah, okay. And the judge said, yeah, sure, too much like Superman, stop. And then Fawcett goes under, DC buys them, and then DC starts publishing Captain Marvel comics because that's capitalism in
the
America.
ideal foil for Superman to fight.
Right. Well, I mean, you see his involvement in Kingdom Come, right? Shazam, like a beautiful, brilliant piece. But anyway, any final thoughts on Shazam #1 before we move on to Doomsday Clock?
No, but I do have a question for JJ.
Uh-oh.
So there's a book behind you, and it looks like magazine style. Is it Batman the Animated Series?
It's a box. It's a game.
Oh,
1 sec.
sorry. We were talking in chat about it, and I had to know because it looked beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. That is gorgeous.
I
So-
record from the lovely Arcane Comics in Seattle, Washington.
Yes.
There's the fellow over there.
So yeah, my final thoughts on Shazam. I actually, and everybody who knows me will say, don't yuck somebody else's yum. And the second thing is, always read before you rag. Although I'm stealing their catchphrase phrases, but it's a good
Read
book.
Before You Rag is mine. I created that.
Yeah. No, I totally support
Read Before
that.
You Rag is my
Tagline.
hashtag.
Yeah, no, and I actually I strongly believe in that. I read it if you're unsure. It's still a good book. Yeah, I mean, and the art is really, really beautiful, and it has Jeff Johns, that lovely, lovely man, attached to it. So you really can't go wrong.
The only thing I really remember about Shazam the most is his death in The Dark Knight Strikes Back. Made everyone sad, and that made me sad. When I was younger, I was like, I don't even really know who he is, but I knew, he was, but I knew enough. And when
I
he died,
remember that well.
everyone was just really sad, really sad.
Yeah. Turns out me and Billy never switched places, or we didn't change form. We switched places. So Captain Marvel came back in Billy's place.
Yeah, that was rough. That was really rough. All right, so
Frank Miller in
Shazam.
the mid-late 90s. Wow.
Yeah. Shazam, great book. I enjoyed it. To echo what everybody else said, like we really don't have a whole lot of things to rag on this book about. Dale Eaglesham is every bit the artist he has ever been, and then a little bit updated in this book. So I mean, go check it out for yourself. If you want to read my review, it's up on www.comicwatch.com. And now the coup de grace. Let's talk about Doomsday Clock number 8. Everybody's caught up except for, I think, Brian. I'm sorry, Brian. I wish that we had more time before we recorded so you could be caught up.
Go read it right now. We'll wait.
No, I did read, and I tried so hard last night. My work life has been completely crazy. I think yesterday I didn't get home until after 10, and I tried to
How
watch.
many times have you gotten yelled at for ruining Hanukkah in the last 3 weeks? Because I've gotten yelled at twice.
Not for that. I've been yelled at for different things. But
Can I mute?
huh?
Can I mute JJ?
Maybe. So no, I was really sad, and I tried to read it last night, and I literally fell asleep with my iPad hitting my face, and because I was reading it, and it was so good, and I didn't want to put it down, but I kept falling asleep, and I was like, ah. And then I thought I was gonna have time today, but as I was rushing in just to do the show here, I still have work afterwards, so I'm not.
Right.
I didn't get the chance to read it, but I loved the first 20 pages of the first issue.
Well, you've got plenty of time to catch up. This is being published every other month, so that means if we have 4 issues left, I think we have 8 months before this thing ends, which is the only knock I have on the book. Honestly, right now, the publishing schedule is tough, and people complain. I can't remember what happened last issue, et cetera, et cetera.
I gotta say though, I lose momentum between issues, but as soon as the new issue comes out, it picks right back up.
Right.
So
exactly.
and I don't feel like I'm having any trouble following what's happening from issue to issue, but definitely from one issue to the next, I will lose some momentum. But it's got enough power to it that by the next issue, I'm right back in. Like this last issue was holy crap.
And I mean, I would argue that this last issue has been the strongest entry of the 8 issues so far. The general plot line here, like I don't want to dig too deep into the plot, because there's so many layers happening. But essentially what you have is Firestorm has gone to Russia, has tangled with Posar, and there's been a tragic accident where he turned a bunch of bystanders into glass and has fled the scene. So Clark is in pursuit and trying to track down Firestorm. He swings by Kandak to talk to Black Adam, speaking of the Marvel family.
At long last, we get a Superman appearance. It's been months.
We get an actual Superman appearance in Doomsday Clock, and it's Superman chatting with Black Adam, trying to find Firestorm, and learning that Kandak has kind of said, forget this, he said, she said, superhumans as the new arms war. They're all welcome here, good or bad. If you see him, send him my way, but I haven't seen him. So, Clark continues his search, and he finds Firestorm back at the scene of the crime, basically. Like, he's still in Russia. He's hiding out in, like a factory, or maybe it
was Chernobyl.
Was it Chernobyl? Okay.
Yeah, he was hiding out in Chernobyl.
So there he is in Chernobyl with a glass child, trying everything in his power to transmute it back into a person. And, I mean, this is Ronnie at his breaking point. Like, he is devastated. He does not understand what happened. He doesn't understand how it could happen. And here's Clark showing up saying, hey, you got to be held accountable for your actions. And
it's important to note that Ronnie, up to this point, has never been able to affect living matter.
Right. Organic matter is not something that he should be able to transmute. He did it the once. So theoretically, he can do it again. And now he's got the world's greatest cheerleader, Clark Kent, standing by with a hand on his shoulder, talking him through it, saying, you can do it, man. You did it once. Come on, do it again. And he fucking does. And he does it. And he brings this boy back to life. So the pair race off back to Moscow and encounter Putin, who's having a press conference, and they're basically put into a position where these two superheroes, one who has greatly wronged a bunch of Russian citizens, and one who has no real business being there other than, I'm Superman, staring down a world leader declaring war. And I mean, it's everything that you could hope for out of a Cold War-esque story, which, if you haven't read Watchmen, also, Brian, I'm looking at you. If you haven't read Watchmen, Watchmen is fundamentally a Cold War story involving superheroes. What if metahumans existed, and what bearing would that have had on the Cold War? And as we stand as a nation in a time of a crucial turning point, we face the very real potential of a new Cold War, whether that's, nuclear arms, whether that's superhumans, whether that's information, however that plays out. We are on the precipice of what could be a 21st century Cold War. And they have translated that into a Watchmen-esque setting with the Superman theory, and really brought the politics of the DC universe and the politics of our real, let's call us Earth Prime, for lack of a better word. They've put the two of them into a blender and created just...
Or Earth 1 if you're Tom King.
No, us. We are Earth Prime or whatever. I think we actually have an Earth title, but, going back to pre-crisis, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so you've got this...
We're Earth Zero, if you must know.
No, Earth Zero is the main Rebirth universe right now.
Well, then it's Prime.
Yeah, that's what I said. Quit arguing with me. I'm right. So essentially, like, you've got this beautiful mixing point of real world politics, DC politics, and what it would look like for us, you and me, dear viewers, if metahumans were to enter our world as a potential stock in trade for some kind of arms race. The execution here is absolutely brilliant. There's a moment where Batman is zooming his way to Russia to stop Clark from choosing a side, to stop Clark from saying, metahumans should not. The US did, the US did not. And by his choice, he catapults us into the third act, issues 9 through 12 of Doomsday Clock, which promise to be just some of the most groundbreaking, innovative moments in comics narratives since the original Watchmen. And I mean, this is a huge legacy for Johns to take on. I mean, Watchmen is, a Times best 100 novels of the 20th century, right? Not graphic, not comics, novels in general. And Johns said, fine, let's fucking do this. I can handle this. Let's make a sequel to Watchmen that stands up to Watchmen. And I didn't think I was going to see that in my lifetime. And this book is absolutely delivering on all fronts. Gary Frank's art is gorgeous, emotive, clean and crisp. This is my pick, single issue, best single issue of 2018. Anybody else?
Anybody else? Are you kidding me? This issue, as soon as we got the pre-review copy, I was at my job. I snuck and read it on the toilet because I was so damn excited. I cried on the toilet. I cried in a honey bucket.
You cried on the toilet?
I was cried in a honey bucket. It was 35 fucking degrees out when Firestorm turned that child back from glass. As Cody simplistically put it, Superman, the world's greatest cheerleader. Superman is the world's greatest inspiration. He's your proof that you can do better. He's your proof that you can be stronger. And that's what Superman did for Firestorm. It was perfect. But at the same time, in what I can only describe as a Thor-esque drive to fall yourself into a trap, Superman walked into what is potentially the biggest dialogue or political trap of the 21st century, which is taking a stance. You can get blocked, you can get vilified, you can get hated if all you do is take a stance. The greatest thing you can do as a person in this day and age is to say nothing. And that is the exact opposite of what Superman did. Superman stood up for what he believes in, as he has always done, and in so doing, claimed a stance for the superhuman community of the U.S. Because Superman, as we all know, is the leader of the superhumans of the U.S., which he might not necessarily be, but
I mean, he is clearly, he's the most iconic. When he speaks for many, many, many people. Like, his voice resonates for many, many people. So,
as Frank Miller said, with a voice that can command gods.
Right.
He said.
Yeah, he's it.
But the greatest part was how fucking powerless he was to stop those soldiers from trying to shoot their own people in their own best interest, trying to stop their own interests from happening. They were fighting against themselves, and Superman was trying to save them, and still they vilified him. Still they hated him. And that is what is amazing.
Well, the brilliance, it's the brilliance of the cover. the cover of this book is brilliant, and you don't even know how brilliant it is until you're done reading the book. And Ozymandias is a true mastermind, and he's written perfectly for this. And you don't even, I mean, he shows up like in the first panel, you know? I mean, it's really beautiful to see. And what Batman does is truly incredibly heroic. Like, I loved the first panel that I saw him in. I didn't really need any more information. I didn't need any dialogue. I didn't need anything written. All I needed to see was the window behind him and his face. And I knew what he was doing. I knew where he was going. I knew how he was feeling. I knew what was happening. And it was crazy town. It was just the impetus of it was just incredible. I loved it. Just the natural disaster he's flying towards to prevent, like one of the greatest threats, responding to one of the greatest threats, one of the world's greatest masterminds, realizing Superman's about to step into the trap of, one of the world's greatest masterminds, and with Lex Luthor being probably number 2 or number 1. Yeah, just brilliant. Just another brilliant installment. I could possibly say it's the best issue of 2018, mostly because we're running out of 2018, and this is the very last issue of Doomsday Clock. So
definitely five top 5.
I'll just give it to it. But yeah, I mean, this is my favorite series of the year for sure. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I love about it is that it's acknowledging that it is falling into the milieu of Watchmen without trying to be Watchmen. Like, it is its own book that just so happens to carry on that kind of legacy. It exists in that shadow, and it's thriving in that shadow as its own thing. I think that's the mark of a truly great generational writer. And if there's any writer that, really exemplifies the spirit of the 21st century thus far, that's got to be Jeff Johns. I don't see anybody else that's even close to the range, the consistency, anything along those lines. Like, it is a work of brilliance. This was an absolute masterpiece. It sets Superman up as the fool, as I said in my review, which I highly recommend going to read if you enjoyed this issue. I put a lot of thought and care into that review, so hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you check it out. Definitely check out Doomsday Clock. If you fell off, if you got bored, if you got tired of waiting, come back to it in trade. I'm going to come back to it in Absolute. I look forward to buying the Absolute of this and a paperback probably to tear through over the years, because it's just that damn good. Really
they love to make those Jeff Johns stories into Absolute editions, that's for sure.
Well, rightfully so. I mean, he is mass producing genius work year in and year out. So I mean, I'm happy to see him back in the field, kind of back out there creating again. Kind of took a few years off, and he was greatly missed, and I'm just thrilled to have him back. Any final thoughts? Let's invite Brian back.
Arby, what you want to say?
He hasn't read it yet, so he's muted us for a little while.
Arby, say things about Watchmen.
What?
Hey, welcome back, Brian. So we're done talking about Doomsday Clock, I think. It's time to move on to Future Watch. So
yeah, I didn't want to get spoiled because what I did read of it, and I'm not joking, I think I even had dreams about it. Because, I mean, obviously I was reading about it, but there are certain scenarios that I remember, like when Russia's taking over in I think it was North Korea, all the way to Texas. So, and then I started having dreams about it. So I didn't want it ruined. Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Yeah,
No
Future
worries.
Watch. There's some good shit coming out this week.
This is a huge week for comics. I mean, just stupid huge, right?
Yeah.
I can tell you, So last week, my LCS man, I record at the comic book store, but my LCS man was saying the poll is usually 44 issues. Last week it was 48, and he was complaining that it was 48. This week is 53. So he's got 53 pages of comics to sort through and figure out who goes to who. Poor fella.
Yeah,
Luckily, super duper good looking if he watches this.
And I mean, and the thing about this week is, like, it's not a bunch of trash. Like, it's not a bunch of filler stuff and what have you. Like, there's a lot of really significant books coming out this week. So why don't we start with Brian?
Oh my God, there's so much good stuff. Oh wait, which one? Sorry.
You.
Oh, okay.
I call him Derbs.
Oh right, yeah. Well, usually you call me B, so that's how I know that you did.
I call him RB because I love
Or
Arby's.
yeah, JJ calls me RB, which actually Arby's is a great restaurant. Like I may have some after the show.
They have the meats.
Yeah.
I'm going to McDonald's, I think.
Huh? Okay. So there's
They also
Batman.
have H. John Benjamin now doing their, like, you know, the Bob's Burgers, Arby's thing. Like, his commercials are amazing. They're so good.
So funny.
Well, see, I don't really watch TV, so I don't know, but just Arby's is so good. And I don't know if we're even talking about that. I had a lot of tequila tonight. I apologize.
I don't even know who H. John Benjamin is, but I've been drinking whiskey since
Tequila!
5.
Tequila. Yeah, no, I just had some left over, and I was like, yeah, I have some squirt. Okay, so
Squirt.
Batman Damned is coming out, which I'm really sad that with all the Batwang and everything else that kind of came out last week or last time with it, I've forgotten completely what the story's about.
I'm sad that the first issue wasn't better.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Maybe it just wasn't that great. I don't know, but I'm really excited about that. We have Batman Who Laughs. I'm really excited for Snyder's run on that. Batman Annual is coming out. Superman. We got a little bit of Titans. We have Fantastic Four. And I'm actually really excited about Miles Morales, Spider-Man #1. We also have X-Men Red 11 coming out, which is the final. I'm sure we're all sad, but the way that Uncanny is going, I don't even care. Like, it's just great.
Yeah, like a week ago, if you had told me X-Men, or I guess a month ago. A month ago, you tell me the X-Men Red is ending, and I'm like, how can you kill the best X-Men book on the market? But
well, I think they did tell you a month ago, in fairness.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, like, but my reaction a month
Mute's
ago.
off. This is the end of the episode. Mute.
4 issues of Uncanny have come out since I learned that X-Men Red was ending, and now I'm not.
They have all been great.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned anymore. But it is sad to see it end. Like, it has been a really great run.
It is such a great time to be an X-Men, to be a comic book fan. There's so much good stuff that's being released each week. I'm always so excited. Like, every Wednesday, I'm like, oh. Like, I'm trying to figure out a way to take, like, half of Wednesday off just to dedicate to comic books. But it's not going to happen.
Your
trick is to be really rude to your wife.
Wait, what?
She went to bed, and I will...
All right, so you're covering Miles Morales Spider-Man for us for the website, right? At least #1?
You bitch. That's how you're going to get your answer. So the backstory behind
that.
You're
absolutely right.
Someone's mining for answers here.
Brian said he would take it over for me. Isn't that what happened, Brian? Isn't that what happened? I was going to write it, and you said you'd write it for me. No.
So what happened is that I mentioned in chat that Miles Morales, because when we have unassigned books, we can volunteer, which hopefully all the writers volunteer to take one that's not, because that's how you know or learn that there's new good comics that are coming out. I think one of our main thing is not just to review, but to educate or, say, hey, this is a really good book. Or actually, I don't think we're ever like, don't read it, because we never yuck somebody else's yum. But there is a book open, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it, because I'm so behind in my real work that I haven't been able to really pay attention much to Comic Watch, which is really sad, because honestly, if I could, all my attention would go to Comic Watch. But realistically, it doesn't pay all my bills. So with that being said, I did say maybe I'll take Miles Morales. And then Cody has been hounding me since then, and I have been avoiding it like it was chlamydia. And now he just asked me on here, expecting an answer, and the answer is yes, but it may be with the tequila speaking.
Avoid chlamydia. That's some life advice I sure wish I had.
You know,
Never mind.
honestly, if you're gonna catch something, like give me gonorrhea, give me a little bit of chlamydia. Don't give me the other stuff.
Well, you know, in Duff McKagan's book, he did say that it can be cured with fish antibacterials.
Well, I don't believe that. Give me some antibiotics. I only had to take one and not have anything for 7 days. And then see Cody and Derbs just like covering their face like this.
Double face palm.
Right. This show just took a complete south turn. But you know
okay.
what?
If anybody is at this point in the show, I do apologize.
No, I don't apologize for this sexual education that I just laid on y'all.
I'll
take my government. I'll take my government check now.
Yeah.
Hey, so Derbs, anything that's coming out this week that you're looking forward to?
Hi, Cody.
Don't try to silence me.
I think.
Don't you try to censor me.
The grown-ups are talking.
There isn't one thing that I'm looking forward to that Brian hasn't talked about already. Like he listed like what I'm looking forward to in a lot of those. And then, but I've got Into the Spider-Verse. This Saturday, I believe, Saturday or Sunday. Like I'm reviewing that for the site. Looking forward to that. All the buzz online is pretty good. So yeah, and I'm a big Miles Morales fan. Really looking forward to his first, for #1 on Wednesday. I think the only thing I've read is that he's possibly going up against Rhino to like bring up the old with the new. Old school with the new school. Nice. That's the only thing I've heard. But yeah, looking forward to it.
I thought Superior Spider-Man.
Did B already get his singles? Well. Is that what he's trying to tell us?
Didn't get what either of you said. What was that?
No, this
Cody,
is
go
the
first.
book. This is what made me a fan of Miles Morales. Like, definitely read it. It's such a good book.
Is that cool. Like a novel?
Yeah. Did you just laugh at my novel?
No.
Hey, ain't got no pictures?
No,
ain't got no pictures. What you talking about?
I was checking to see if Superior Spider-Man... I thought Superior Spider-Man and Miles Morales came out at the same time, but they don't. Superior Spider-Man looks like it comes out on the 26th, the day after Christmas.
Well, it's impossible. They don't have any overlap. There's like 6 Spider-Man books coming out right now.
That's true. Although the finale of Spectacular Spider-Man is coming out this week.
No, is it really?
Along with Miles. Overlap. That's what I said.
Yeah. Fantastic Four wedding special. Ben Grimm, Alicia Masters getting married.
Finally.
This is like 40 years in the making, so I mean that's awesome.
Just
we'll have
remember,
a review of that up
he had a jealous arc where he fought Silver Surfer in her first arc. In right after Silver Surfer's first arc, he fought Silver Surfer for Alicia's hand like 60 years ago.
Right.
That relationship's really weird to me.
She's blind. Leave her alone.
No, like props to her, but like, can you imagine them having sex? Like that has to be super rocky.
I really didn't.
Can you imagine being a blind sculptor? Like 70% of being a sculptor is sight.
No, sculpting is mostly about your feel, man.
No, you gotta be able to see what it looks like from far away.
Any sculptor will tell you this is about feeling, where things are and how things are.
I'm a carpenter. I know what sculpting is. You want to see it from far away.
Well, that just makes it even worse. Like, do you think that his wing wang is rocky?
It better be.
My life has turned
for her pleasure.
I don't think it's for her pleasure. Like, I just picture, like, look at his thumbs.
It's rocky for her.
Like, you can't even like DJ on it. Like, it would create so much friction.
If they've been in a relationship this long, I'm sure she already knows, and it's probably all good. So
I'm sure.
I
I'm
disagree.
sure.
I
You
think
know.
it's-
Oh
Haven't
my
you
god!
ever done
I
like
can't
that
go any
rock?
further down this. In this.
Right, like have you ever like done the have you ever those stones that you do with your feet?
So I muted JJ and Brian. Congratulations, guys. You were
I can unmute myself.
Ah, crap. I didn't know that was how that worked. That's unfortunate.
Don't
Future
you
Watch, you
fucking
say?
try to censor me, you little bit.
Don't you censor me?
I'm not trying to censor you. I'm just trying to shut you up for a second. Like, we have gone full Mallrats. Derbs is Stan Lee. Jason Lee is being played by Brian.
are you saying I'm dead?
I'm
Yes.
You are
here.
to me.
I am. You're the ghost of Stanley. Anyway, I wanted to wrap this show up before we go too much further. We're already going long as it is.
I hate myself.
Huge.
Don't worry, we're right there with you.
Best show ever. Answering the real questions. Comic Watch.
I hate myself for being in this video.
I
have Future Watch.
Yes. So Future Watch is wrapped. There's a bunch of stuff coming out. Hopefully you enjoyed what we covered this week. We tried to cover what we thought were the hottest books. A couple of that we thought you might not
Batman
know
Who
about.
Laughs wasn't mentioned.
Yes, it was.
I mentioned it.
Tamazi's debut on Detective Comics 994.
That was not mentioned.
Hawkman #7. I know you love that Hawkman.
Hawkman #7 is coming out, although honestly, I'm just waiting for Hawkman #8, which is going to have a revised, updated origin for Hawkman. That I know that
Alien #3, #2.
Yes, Alien #3, #2.
Yeah. I'm just saying things.
So
Avengers #11, Avengers #10 was awesome. I'm going to be reviewing. This will be my first Avengers review for Comic Watch. I'm taking it over from Derbs because I love the Avengers.
Are we wrapping up, or did you have a quiz for us, Bri?
I mean, we can.
The question is whether or not we want to cut out this last 15 minutes or not.
No, we're totally cutting it out.
I'm not cutting shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I really went into that conversation thinking we're just going to cut that whole thing. Like, I really wanted to make you guys uncomfortable.
Well, I could cut us right now.
If we hurry, the shawarma place is still open.
I'm trying to wrap the show up, but nobody is listening to me.
You're the boss of me.
Yes, I am.
I do what I want.
I am the content manager.
Whatever. I do what I want.
All right, everybody. We just finished episode #13. We reviewed a bunch of comics. We played some games, and we all drank too much. And by we, I mean JJ and myself.
And now Derbs has to cut that little bit to the end.
Yes.
He'd love to.
There's going to be a lot of cutting and editing, which is fine. I don't have to do it. So make sure that you like us on Facebook.
You got to be considerate of the amount of work that Derbs has to do.
Yeah, Derbs does a massive amount of work for us. Actually, he's the whole reason that we get to come out each week, and he's the one that publishes it and edits it to make us not seem so much like bumbling idiots. But either way, we really are.
We still kind of do.
So like us on Facebook, The Comic Watchers. Check us out on our website, thecomic-watchers.com. Make sure you subscribe and like our videos. And that's it. We are out. Episode 13 in the books. Come back for episode 14, and I'm going to keep talking so JJ can't talk. Bye.
Comic Watchers asking the real questions about that Rocky Wang.